Hello and welcome to the Botego Properties Myrtle Beach Real Estate Brief for the week of 6 November 2023. A much anticipated Federal Reserve press release from November 1st. The Federal Reserve issues the Federal Open Market Committee statement. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity expanded at a strong pace in the third quarter. Job gains have moderated since earlier in the year, but remain strong, and the unemployment rate has remained low. Inflation remains elevated. The U.S. banking system is sound and resilient. Tighter financial and credit conditions for households and businesses are likely to weigh on economic activity, hiring, and inflation. The extent of these effects remains uncertain. The committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks. The committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the longer run. In support of these gains, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%. The committee will continue to assess additional information and its implications for monetary policy. In determining the extent of additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into the account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity and inflation, and economic and financial developments. In addition, the committee will continue reducing its holdings of Treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities as described in its previously announced plans. The committee is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective. In assessing the appropriate stance of monetary policy, the committee will continue to monitor the implications of incoming information for the economic outlook. The committee would be prepared to adjust the stance of monetary policy as appropriate if risks emerge that could impede the attainment of the committee's goals. The committee's assessments will take into account a wide range of information, including readings on labor market conditions, inflation pressures, and inflation expectations, and financial and international developments. Freddie Mac's Primary Mortgage Market Survey from November 2nd, 2023, which is an average of the mortgage rates for 30 and 15-year fixed-rate mortgages as of November 2nd. A 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 7.76% and 7.03% for a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage. For the Myrtle Beach area in rental data, the information from apartments.com, the average studio apartment for the area is $1,113. A one-bedroom apartment is $1,351. A two-bedroom is $1,543, and a three-bedroom, the average is $1,872. Short-term rental data for the Myrtle Beach area from AirDNA. The average daily rate is $250.40. The average annual revenue is $56,300. The occupancy rate stands at 62%, with the total available listings in the area at 11,971. Bureau of Labor Statistics unemployment rate data is for the nation, currently 3.8%. The unemployment rate for South Carolina stands at 2.9% for the month of September, and the preliminary unemployment rate for Myrtle Beach is 3.1%. South Carolina Department of Revenue. Lexington County restaurant owner charged with tax evasion, not reporting more than $250,000 in sales. The South Carolina Department of Revenue agents arrested a Lexington County restaurant owner on Friday and charged him with 2 counts of tax evasion and 1 count of operating a business without a state retail license. Donald Herbert Prevett, 62, of West Columbia, was the owner of Old Country Buffet in Lexington County. According to arrest warrants, Prevett reported gross sales of $21,838 during a 7-month period in 2022 and 2023, but actual sales totaled $280,874. As a result, he evaded approximately $19,612 in state sales tax. Brevet's retail license was revoked by the South Carolina Department of Revenue in April 2022. But according to the warrant, he continued to operate his restaurant without a license even after repeated written and verbal warnings from the South Carolina Department of Revenue officers. If convicted, Brevet faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and/or a fine of $10,000 for each count of tax evasion, and 30 days in jail and/or a fine of $200 for operating without a retail license. The South Carolina Department of Revenue is committed to the fair administration of tax laws. By taking enforcement action against non-compliant taxpayers, the department seeks to prevent unfairly increasing the tax burden on those who do comply. The schedule of events for the Horry County government has meetings for the week of 6 November 2023. We have scheduled for the 7th of November on Tuesday at 9 a.m. We have an Infrastructure and Regulation Committee meeting. And at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., we have a Public Safety Committee meeting. In observance of Veterans Day on Friday, the 10th of November, Horry County government facilities will be closed. In the city of Myrtle Beach, meetings scheduled for the week of November 6th. Beginning Monday, November 6th at 12 p.m. is the Special City Council meeting, Chief Municipal Judge interviews. At 6 p.m. is the South Beach Neighborhood Watch, first floor meeting room by the registration desk. Tuesday, November 7th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., City of Myrtle Beach Municipal Election, the polls will be open. 12 p.m., the Cultural Resources Committee will be held at the HTC Aspire Hub, 509 9th Avenue North. Beginning at 6 p.m., the Neighborhood Watches will have their meetings at 3810 Robert N. Grissom Parkway. And those meetings will be held for the Avenues Neighborhood Watch, the Golden Mile Neighborhood Watch, Old Pine Lakes Neighborhood Watch, Pine Lakes Neighborhood Watch, Pine Lakes Estates Neighborhood Watch. At 7 p.m., the Election Commission vote count will be held at the Ted C. Collins Law Enforcement Center. On Wednesday, November 8th, at 9 a.m. is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee meeting. At 10 a.m. is the Midtown Waterfront Neighborhood Watch. This will be held in the third floor meeting room, Homewood Suites by Hilton, 520 North Ocean Boulevard. Also at 10 a.m. is a special event committee, Boxcar, Myrtle Beach Train Depot, 851 Broadway Street. For Thursday, November 9th at 10 a.m. is the Election Commission meeting, second floor conference room, City Hall, 937 Broadway Street. At 12 p.m. is the City of Myrtle Beach's new World War II Memorial Unveiling and Monument Dedication Ceremony. World War II Memorial, Warburg Park, 150 Farrell Parkway. 1:30 p.m. is the Board of Zoning Appeals. This will be held in the conference room, City Services Building, 921 North Oak Street. Friday, November 10th, Veterans Day holiday is observed. City of Myrtle Beach offices and Chapin Memorial Library will be closed. Recreational facilities will be open. There will be no changes to solid waste and recycling collection schedules. At 10 a.m., the Myrtle Beach Downtown Alliance Public Art Planning Consortium meeting will be held at the conference room, MBDA Building, 522 Broadway Street. On Saturday, November 11th, the City of Myrtle Beach will have an annual Veterans Day ceremony at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center, 2101 North Oak Street. The office of Senator Tim Scott. Senator Scott slams Biden for weak global leadership, allowing South Africa to host the AGOA Forum. As the annual African Growth and Opportunity Act Forum begins in Johannesburg, Senator Tim Scott, ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee on Africa and member of the Senate Finance Committee, slammed President Biden for allowing the forum to take place in South Africa, considering the government's recent actions that undermine United States national security. The office of Senator Lindsey Graham. Graham opposes Judiciary Democrats' plan to issue subpoenas in latest attempt to discredit the Supreme Court. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, today made the following statements about the Judiciary Democrats' plans to issue subpoenas to Harlan Crow, Leonard Leo, and Robin Arkley II, all private citizens. The Democrats' initial request for information from these individuals earlier this year were overbroad and expansive, far beyond the bounds of any reasonable investigative request. Mr. Crow offered to provide 5 years of information related to some of these requests, which Democrats did not accept. Mr. Leo and Mr. Arkley declined to provide any information on the grounds that it was beyond the scope of a legitimate legislative inquiry and amounted to harassment of a private citizen. From Congressman Russell Fry, 7th Congressional District of South Carolina. Press release dated November 2nd, 2023. Congressman Russell Fry introduces legislation to rename Surfside Beach Post Office in honor of Nancy Ewing Childs. Congressman Russell Fry introduced legislation to rename the Surfside Beach, South Carolina Post Office in honor of Nancy Ewing Childs, who was a dedicated public servant and accomplished law enforcement officer who spent her career protecting others. She was one of the first women to serve as a U.S. Capitol Police officer, and when she retired from service, she held the esteemed rank of inspector. She was a member of the Fraternal Order of Police for 2 decades. After retiring, Childs resided in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster and the Department of Employment and Workforce Director William Floyd announces the 2024 tax rate cuts for South Carolina businesses. And that concludes the Myrtle Beach real estate brief for the week of 6 November 2023. If you like the information that you're receiving here, please like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you and have a great week.